Hey everybody, if you're looking to buy a townhouse in the Edmonton region this year, then this video is for you because I'm going to be doing a deep dive into what's going on in the condo townhouse market here in Edmonton. This is part of a series, video 2 of 3. The last one I did on detached homes. So if you're looking at detached homes, make sure to go check out that video. And the next one is going to be on apartment condos. But this video is focused on townhouse condos. What's going on in the market? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What's the inventory levels look like? And what do I see happening with prices? So stay tuned. But before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're getting value out of these videos. Lets me know that I'm doing a good job and I should keep it up and keep making more videos like this. If you hit that notification bell, you'll also get notified anytime I post a new video. So let's jump in here. As I mentioned, we already did one on detached homes. Now we're looking at townhouse condos. I am including also half duplex condominiums. They often still sort of feel like a townhouse, but since they're technically in a half duplex building, I've decided to include those if they're condominiumized. So it's not like half duplexes that are single family titled, but condo townhouses. So condo townhouses and condo half duplexes is what we're looking at in this video. Today is Tuesday, and I'm using the stats from the last week, the last 2 weeks, and the last 30 days. So this shows you exactly what's happening in the market right now. It's a little different than when I look back at like the monthly statistics from the month before. That's already almost old news in terms of what's happening in the market. When you look a little bit closer in essentially what's happening in the last week, 2 weeks, or even just the last 30 days, month to date, that can really give you an idea on kind of what's going on. So if you watched my detached home videos, you know that that market's going pretty crazy, and this is the first time I'm going to be focusing on the townhouse market. Okay, so as of today, there are currently 467 townhouse condos that are active on the market in the Edmonton region, and 120 that are pending. So when it's pending, that means that they've already accepted a contract and they're just going through their condition period, which is usually inspection, financing condition, and since it's a condo doc review condition. Most of those properties that are pending will go through into sales in the next week or two. So it gives you a good idea on kind of what's going on in the market and how quickly stuff's moving. Pardon my messy whiteboard here. I'm still getting used to using the digital one. But that's just an excuse because I know if I was using an actual whiteboard, it would probably also be a little scribbly as well. So hopefully you can read what I've got going on here. Basically, we're going to be looking at new listings, sales, and a sales to listings ratio over the last 7 days, last 2 weeks, and 30 days. So if we start with new listings, in the last 7 days, we had 79 new listings. In the last 2 weeks, we had 165. And over the last 30 days, we had 315. And if we go over to sales, in the last 7 days, we had 41 sales. And in the last 2 weeks, we had 90 sales. And in the last 30 days, we had 171 sales. So when we look at that, we can actually calculate what our sales to new listings ratio is. So we're just basically dividing the number of sales into the number of new listings, and I'm doing this for each period. Just over the last 7 days, which is a super recent stats. So if we look at the last 7 days, that gives us a sales to new listing ratio of 51.9%. If we look at the last 2 weeks, we've got 54.5%. And if we look over the last 30 days, we've got 54.3%. So you can see that that's a pretty stable number over the last 7 days, the 2 weeks, and the 30 days. So what does this ratio mean? So the sales to new listing ratio, it's one of the ways that you could look at the market to try to figure out if it's more of a buyer's market or a seller's market. And with us sitting at 52% in the last week, 54.5% in the last 2 weeks, and 54.3% in the last 30 days, we're right on the cusp into turning into a seller's market for townhouses. These are very strong numbers. We're absorbing over half of our listings in all 3 of these time periods, even in just the last 7 days, which, like I said, it's a very tight time period. So that's pretty consistent across the board there. It's not as crazy as the detached home market by any means, but it is right on the cusp of turning into more of a seller's market here. So obviously it depends on how many more new listings come in the coming weeks, but there's going to be a lot more buyers as well. And as some people potentially get pushed out of the single family home market and have to get a townhouse instead, That's also going to keep the demand high. If this kind of activity continues, I do think we'll start to see townhouse prices go up as well, just like what we've been seeing in the single family detached homes. There's not nearly as many properties in this market, with 467 active versus when we looked at single family detached homes, we had 1,020. This market's about half the size, a little bit less than half the size of the single family detached market in terms of the type of inventory that we have. So if the number of sales picks up substantially, it can shift faster. Now, another thing that we can actually look at when we're looking at these numbers is we can also calculate the absorption rate to figure out how fast are we going through our inventory, because you can see that we're selling a rate of over 50% of the new listings, but we can also look at how much active we have versus the rate of sales, and that's what's called the absorption rate. And in order to do that, I'm just gonna use the last 30 days. So if I take how many sales we had in the last 30 days, 171, and you divide it by the number of active listings. So if you've got 467 active listings, you take 171 divided by 476, and you end up with an absorption rate of 36.6%. So if you compare that to what we had in the single family detached market, we were sitting at an absorption rate of 86.17%. So you can see that there's a lot more intensity in the single family home market than there is in the townhouse market right now. But with an absorption rate of 36%, you can also flip that and turn that into a months of inventory, which is basically if you take the 467 and you divide it by 171, then you end up with 2.73 months of supply. And so what that means is if there was no new listings and if sales continued at the rate that they are right now in the last 30 days, that's how many months it would take before there was literally no townhouse condos left on the market. So at 2.73 months of supply, that's still a pretty low level of inventory and definitely sets up the stage for a situation where you could have rising prices. Obviously, it depends if more stuff comes on the market soon, but until we're getting closer to that like 5 months of supply sort of range, there's going to be upward pressure on prices. So it looks like things are going pretty good here in the townhouse market. I'll be keeping an eye on this, but it does show you that if you're looking to buy a townhouse, you might want to pick a place sooner rather than later in case prices go up. As we get into the spring market and there's even more demand from buyers, I think it could also get even more competitive in the townhouse market. Now, this gives you a good overall view of kind of what's going on in the townhouse market across Edmonton. But if you'd like to get more specific advice based on the communities that you're interested in, your price range, as well as some other factors, it's best if you actually reach out to me and I can talk to you and give you advice specific to your situation. So you can reach me on my cell at 780-819-5508, and you can either call me or shoot me a text. And you can also email me at trevor@trevortardif.com, or you can always go to booktrevornow.com and select a time on my calendar, and then I'll call you. I don't care whether you're just getting started and you're still months or even a year away from being able to purchase. It's not a waste of my time to talk to you. I know real estate and the plans that go along with it are a little slow moving. So I've got no problem talking to you now, helping you out now, even if you're a long ways away from being able to move forward. So it's not a waste of my time. I'd love to talk to you and help give you the advice that you need. I can definitely help you feel a lot more confident about your plans and give you some good advice and connect you with some good resources to make your townhouse buying process or selling process a lot easier for you. So there's a few other things here that I wanted to look at. So another thing that's helpful to look at for the market is basically the sold price to list price ratio. So the sold price to list price ratio, it's basically trying to look at how close to list price is stuff selling. And just to give you an idea, over the last 7 days, 12 of the 41 properties that sold at list price or higher. And that equals 29.3%. So 29.3% of townhouses sold at list price or higher. And homes sold for an average of 98% of list price. So that means if a townhouse condo was listed at $100,000, on average, it would have sold for $98,000. Now, since about a third of homes are selling at list price or higher, that doesn't mean that you can just take any townhouse on the market and just subtract 2% from the list price and get her done and go from there. Obviously, it depends on how much activity that property is getting. If it just got listed on the market, and there's other people coming in and taking a look at it that want to write offers, a much higher chance that you're going to pay list price or higher. Obviously, if it's been sitting there for a while, or if you're not having as much competition, then you've got a chance to actually negotiate with the seller and get that price down a bit. We were at 99% of average list price for single family detached homes, and we had a significant number of those selling at list price or higher as well. So this also just kind of shows you that there is upward pressure on the market when over a third of them are selling list price or higher, and we're moving more into a seller's market. The next thing that I wanted to look at is the median days on market. I like to look at the median days on market sometimes rather than just the average, because it shows you that midpoint. If you had a median days on market of 30 days, for example, that means half the homes that are selling 30 days or less, and then half of them are selling 30 days or more. So it gives you that midpoint. Whereas if you just took an average, you might have some houses that were like really overpriced or really rough that have been on the market for like 100, 200, 300 days sometimes. And that can kind of give you a number that is just kind of nowhere close to what it typically might take someone to actually sell their house. So I like to look at the median. Having a little fun with this stat, I'm actually going to look at how this has changed over the last week, 2 weeks, and month. So townhouse condos that sold in the last 7 days had a median days on market of 33 days. Ones that sold in the last 2 weeks had a median days on market also of 33 days. And homes over the last 30 days that sold had a median days on market of 36 days. So you can see our numbers are pretty stable here over the last 2 weeks, sitting at 33 days. That's definitely pretty strong, healthy market with 33 days, median days on market. Looking at the last month at 36 days, we just have a few days that we shaved off in the last couple weeks. So that could also be an indicator that things are heating up in the townhouse market more than they were even just a month ago. So something to keep an eye on. That pretty much wraps it up for what I wanted to cover on the townhouse condo market. Make sure to check out that detached home video and the apartment condos video, which is the next one coming out. Let me know if you got value out of this, and do that by hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps me know that I'm doing a good job. Let me know in the comments, what your plans are for buying or selling a house this year, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.